Okay, we're hopping back into the power of optimism, and we're on chapter 3, Suggestion is Power. After studying the various mystical religions and different teachings and systems of mind stuff, one is impressed with the fact that they all have the same basic modus operandi, and that is through repetition, the repeating of certain mantras, words, and formulas. One finds the same principle at work in the chants and incantations, litanies, daily lessons to be repeated as frequently as possible during the week, and the frequent praying of the Buddhists and Muslims alike, the affirmations of the Theosophists and the followers of unity, the absolute truth, new thought, and divine science. The Bible is filled with examples of the power of thought and suggestion. Read Genesis chapter 30, verses 36 to 43. You'll learn that even Jacob knew its power. The Bible tells how he developed spotted and speckled cattle, sheep, and goats by placing rods from trees, partially stripping them of their bark so that they would appear spotted and marked in the watering troughs where the animals came to drink. As you may have guessed, the flocks conceived before the spotted rods and brought forth cattle, ring-straked, speckled, and spotted, and incidentally, Jacob waxed exceedingly rich. Moses, too, was a master at suggestion. For 40 years, he used it on the Israelites and took them to the promised land of milk and honey. David, following the suggestive forces operating in him, slew the mighty, heavily armed Goliath with a pebble from a slingshot. William James, a father of modern psychology in America, declared that often our faith, belief, in advance of a doubtful undertaking is the only thing that can assure its successful conclusion. Man's faith, according to James, acts on the powers above him as a claim and creates its own verification. In other words, the thought becomes literally father to the fact. For further illumination of faith and its power, I suggest that you read the general epistle of James in the New Testament. Recall the panic on the night of October 20th, 1938, when Orson Welles and his Mercury Theater players put on their Air Aid dramatization of H.G. Wells' novel, The War of the Worlds. It was a story of an invasion by some strange warriors from the planet Mars, but it caused fright among millions of people. Some rushed out of their doors, police stations, and were besieged. Eastern telephone exchanges were blocked. New Jersey highways were clogged. In fact, for a few hours following the broadcast, there was a genuine panic amongst millions of listeners because they believed our Earth was being attacked by invaders from Mars. Yes, indeed, belief can and does cause some strange and unusual happenings. Let's take an example out of the war. Let's take an example out of the war. General Douglas MacArthur declared when he left the Philippines, "I shall return." With our Pacific Fleet in ruins at Pearl Harbor, practically no airplanes or transports at the time, and with the Japanese in control of most of the South Pacific, MacArthur had no physical evidence that he would ever return. However, he must have had a mental picture of his return, or he would have never made the statement. It was a statement of confidence or belief, and history relates his triumphant return. Thousands of similar cases happened during the war and are happening today. Okay, we're on chapter 4, The Art of Mental Pictures. Emile Coué, the French hypnotherapist who threw so much light on the power of suggestion, declared that imagination was a much stronger force than any willpower. When the two are in conflict, he said, the imagination always wins. In explanation, let's say you are an inveterate smoker of good cigars and decide to break yourself of the habit. You grit your teeth, shove out your chin, and solemnly declare that you are going to use your willpower to break yourself from the habit. Then suddenly comes the idea of the taste of a good cigar, its aroma, and its soothing effects. The imagination goes to work, and the resolution to break the habit goes out the window. The same holds true of efforts to break the drinking habit and other bad habits. Charles Fourier, a French philosopher of more than a century ago, declared that the future of the world would grow out of the brain of man, controlled and directed by the desires and passions by which men are moved. His prophecy is coming true. Yet man, through his mind, has barely started shaping and controlling the world. All of this brings us to the topic of desire and what you actually want in life. There are comparatively few people with great desires. Most are content to go along, filling the tiny niches in which they find themselves. They accept their positions in life as something that fate has fixed for them, and very seldom do they make either a mental or physical effort to extract themselves from those positions. They never raise their sights or realize that it's just as easy to shoot at a bird on a limb 30 feet above the ground as it is to shoot at it on the ground the same distance away. Many engage in wishful thinking, but wishful thinking in itself is without effect simply because the power factor is missing. But when you run across a person who is going to town, and there are many, you realize that the great power behind it all is projected by desire. The way seems easy for those people, and to a great degree it is, because they are putting to use the powers of their subconscious minds that, in turn, magnetize, coordinate, and then transmit to their conscious minds the electrifying vision of the object of their desire. So let's be reminded that whatever we fix our thoughts upon or steadily focus our imaginations upon, that is what we attract. This is no mere play of words. It is a fact that anyone can prove to his own satisfaction. Whether the results come through magnetic or electrical energy, it is something still undetermined. While man hasn't been able to define it, manifestations of thought attraction can be seen on every hand. It is like the electrical field itself. We do not know what electricity is, although in a material sense we know how man can generate it through various kinds of energy-producing apparatus. We see the electricity manifest every time we turn on a light or snap a switch. Chapter 5. The mirror technique for releasing the subconscious. I want to tell you about something called the mirror technique. It is a method of great power. Stand in front of a mirror. It need not be a full-length mirror, but it should be of sufficient size so that you may at least see your body from the waist up. Those of you who have been in the army know what it means to come to attention and stand fully erect. Bring your heels together. Pull in your stomach. Keep your chest out and your head up. Now breathe deeply 3 or 4 times until you feel a sense of power, strength, and determination. Next, look into the very depths of your eyes. Tell yourself that you are going to get what you want. Name it out aloud, so that you can see your lips move and you can hear the words uttered. Make a regular ritual of it. Practice doing it at least twice a day, mornings and evenings, and you'll be surprised at the results. You can augment this by taping notes on the face of the mirror with any slogans or keywords you wish, so as long as they are the key to what you have previously visualized and want to see in reality. Within a few days, you will have developed a sense of confidence that you never realized you could build within yourself. If you are planning to call on an exceptionally tough prospect or proposing to interview the boss whom you may have previously feared, use the mirror technique and keep it up until you are convinced that you can make the proper presentation without any trepidation. If you are called upon to make a speech, by all means practice before a mirror. Gesticulate, pound your fist on the palm of your other hand to drive home the arguments. Use any gestures that come naturally to you. As you stand before the mirror, keep telling yourself that you are going to be an outstanding success and that nothing in this world is going to stop you. Does this sound silly? Don't forget that every idea presented to the subconscious mind is going to be producing its exact counterpart in objective life, and the quicker your subconscious gets the idea, the sooner your wish becomes a picture of power. Certainly, it is not good business for you to tell anyone of the devices you employ, because you might be ridiculed by scoffers and your confidence shaken, especially if you are just beginning to learn the science. If you are an executive or sales manager and you want to put more push into your entire organization, teach your employees the mirror technique and see that they use it just as many organizations do now. Much has been written about the power of the eyes. The eyes are said to be the windows of the soul. They reveal your thoughts. They express you far more than you imagine. They permit others to get your number, as the saying goes. However, you will find that once you start this mirror practice, your eyes will take on a power that you have never realized you could develop, something that writers have referred to as dynamic or fascinating power. This power will give you that penetrating gaze that causes others to think that you are looking into their very souls. Sooner or later, there will come an intensity that will beseek the intensity of your thought, which people will begin to recognize. It will be recalled that Emerson wrote that every man carries in his eye the exact indication of his rank. Wow! Remember that in your own gradation or position in life, it is marked by what you carry in your eyes. So develop eyes that bespeak confidence. The mirror will help you. The mirror technique may be used in many different ways and with very gratifying results. If you have a poor posture or a very slovenly walk, you will find that practice before a full-length mirror will work wonders for you. Your mirror shows you the person others see when they look at you, and you can fashion yourself into any kind of person you would like them to see. It is said that if you act the part, you will become the part. And here again, it is no better way than rehearsing your acting before the mirror. Vanity has no part in this science. Consequently, don't use the mirror in a superficial manner, but use it to build yourself into the person you wish to be. Surely, if some of the world's most outstanding men and women use this mirror technique to build themselves and increase their influence over other people, you can use it for your own special requirements. Much has been written about intuition, hunches, and the like. Some psychologists claim that ideas which come to us intuitively are not something out of the blue, but come as a result of our accumulated knowledge or because of the because of something that we may have seen or heard in earlier times. That may be true to some extent with chemists, inventors, and others who work by the trial and error method of using their knowledge and results of previous experiments, but it's the writer's belief that by far the greatest number of discoveries, illumination, and inspired works come from the subconscious mind without previous knowledge having been implanted into the mind. Every custom we follow, everything we utilize was first an idea in someone's mind, and those ideas came first in the way of hunches, intuitive flashes, or call them what you will. So it is wise to heed your intuitions and trust them to the end. You may have a hunch to call on or telephone a certain man. He may be the head of some concern and in a position to be of great help to you. However, because of his position, you may fear to make the move and you struggle with your hunch. On one hand, your fear and your fear in the other. The fear too often wins. The next time fear or doubt enters your mind, ask yourself this question: what have I got to lose if I do see him or call him? What harm can I do? Your fears and doubts can't answer that question, so obey your hunch without delay. The writer takes it for granted that none of his readers will assume that this book is an open sesame to riches and fame overnight. This is intended only as a key to unlock the door that opens on the roadway that will lead to the goal of your desire. Certainly, it wouldn't be wise to rush into undertakings far beyond your capabilities or your development. You must have a plan of action before any program is undertaken. You wouldn't go to the corner drugstore and ask just for drugs. You would be specific and name the drugs you desire. And so it is with this science. You must have a plan of action. You've got to know what you want, and you have to be specific about it. If you have definitely determined what you want and have a fixed goal for yourself, then consider yourself extremely fortunate, for you have taken the first step that will lead to success. As long as you hold on to the mental picture of your idea and begin to develop it with action, nothing can stop you from succeeding, for the subconscious mind never fails to obey any order given to it clearly and empathetically. Wow. And that's closing out on chapter 5 of The Power of Optimism, the condensed classics. And I'll see you next time.